How are you all? Interestingly, oh, there we go. That might. I thought it would suck in a lot more than what it has. So, oh, well, I remember. I'm just going to. I've already done it. I did remember. I just wanted to put it on Do Not Interrupt so I don't get a phone call while I'm recording. Okay, guys, I've got lots to show you again today, and I've got lots of ideas, and I'm not sure where to start. As you can see, I've got another mess happening. Lots of stuff happening here. I've tried to get things in some kind of order, but I might just move these out of the way for a minute. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, there's not much use hiding that from you now, is there? Because you can see it now. I just wanted to thank you all so much for the stuff you've bought from my Instagram so far. I've been able to, it's actually still sitting in my account. I'm just thinking it's in one of my accounts that earns interest, so maybe it might earn a little bit of interest too with any luck. But I want to get it there. I want to get it to them as soon as possible. I'm waiting for them to give me some banking details. But what I'm trying to say is, I've got a nice little sum of money there to send the aged care facility, which is really exciting. I still have a lot of their fabrics and textiles here to sell. I'd love to be able to sell it all so we can send them some more money. So if you, goodness me, all this noise, I was going to swear then, I'm trying not to. That is a low-flying aircraft. I can't see what it is because I don't have my glasses on, but oh, it's a biplane. That's why it's so noisy. Mate, there's an airport directly across the lake here. A fellow that we know and some of his mates went in and bought it. It was a public one, but they bought it a few years ago. They run their businesses out of there. They lease out the hangars. The local Westpac Rescue helicopter is now based in there as well. But we get a lot of aircraft fly over that come out of that airport. It's only a small little airport. It's right on the lake. And that's where I went skydiving from. My son and I went skydiving out of that airport. So there's a lot of businesses there, and there's often a lot of activity coming out of there. But that's the first time that I can think of I've actually seen a biplane come. I'm assuming it's come from there. It sounds like it's not long lifted off. Anyway, I digress. I just thought I'd show you a few of the fabrics and things I've still got available. I'm not going to show you all of them. There's still a lot inside. I'm not going to drag them all out here. And I'm sure you guys don't want to see them again. But I thought I'd show some on here because some of the ones that I thought would sell haven't. And I just wondered if it's because you can't actually see from the photographs what they're like. Because the ones that are selling, these fabrics are similar, they're a similar sort of style. I just thought they would have sold. So I thought maybe if I show you some of them in the video, you might get a better idea of what they're like. So the first one I want to show you is this, I'm going to call it chocolate coloured linen. What I can see through the monitor, it looks like it's got a little bit of a red undertone through the monitor. It's not like that in real life. It's a real chocolate brown. And I've got, I think it's wide too. I think it's like 1.4 wide from memory. I do have this written down somewhere, guys. I'm sorry. And I should have brought it out. And I haven't because I'm a bit flustered. I'm a bit flustered and I'm a bit frustrated because I've been on several phone calls today with my electricity provider. Normally they're fantastic. Honestly, they're fantastic. And the fellow I spoke to on Wednesday was so good. I couldn't praise him enough. They're so helpful. He knows his job. He gets to the point quickly. You're not stuffing around. You're not waiting online. He's great. And they're only a small business, I believe. They're based in Melbourne. So when you ring them, someone in that actual local office picks up the phone and you speak to them. I don't believe they're a big place, because I've spoken to some of them more than once. But they're usually really good. Today, however, I had to ring back to get another document. They're just trying to help me establish which appliance is sucking so much energy. So I have an appliance that's sucking massive amounts of energy every 12 hours. There's these massive spikes every 12 hours. Now, mind you, I've been trying to find this out the whole time I've been here, 25 years. I've been trying to find out why my electricity bill is so high. And they were actually speculating that maybe the neighbours were tapped into it because things had happened, the neighbours were involved, and big long story. But anyway, on Wednesday they were able to tell me, since I've had the smart meter installed, that I have these big spikes. And these spikes usually go for about half an hour, but on some occasions, 10 p.m. of an evening, they've gone for 2 hours, these massive big spikes. And they explained to me that the amount of electricity being used during these spikes is equivalent to 6 adults being in the one house using all the electricity all at once. The hair dryers, all appliances plugged in, all electronic appliances, a heated pool plugged in, like all these massive air conditioners all plugged in at once. Like, it's a massive amount of power. And they explained to me that, they have people that live in these big 10-bedroom homes that have got all these children that don't use as much electricity as I do. And I've been saying that for years. Why is it so high? Anyway, to cut a long story short, they identified these big spikes every 12 hours. And we decided that since it was every 12 hours on the dot every day, it must be something on a timer. Now, I don't have anything on a timer. I've been all through the house many times. The only thing I can think of is the hot water heater, because it's on off-peak or something. It's automatically set on these timer thingies. So I decided on Wednesday afternoon to go to my power board and just cut off any electricity supply to the hot water system. So that's what I did. So today I rang back to see if any changes were made. And yes, those spikes aren't happening. And my electricity readings are normal now. So I asked the fellow this morning to send me a copy of the updated file that shows how much electricity I've used, to show that that has now dropped. He did that. He was great. It was efficient. He was quick. However, I forgot to ask him to translate, to change that file from an Excel file to a PDF file. I don't have a computer and I don't have the software to convert the file. I forgot to ask him. So I've called back to ask them to do that. Got a different consultant. He didn't listen. He didn't listen to what I was asking. I only asked for the last week or 2 weeks. I think they can only do a minimum of 2 weeks readout. And I asked him to highlight the peaks and on the every 12 hours, like the last guy did. It's written in my file. They should be able to just bring it up and see what's there. This fellow that helped me this afternoon, he wasn't listening. He kept sending me the wrong file. He kept sending me an Excel file. He kept sending me the wrong information. It was taking him so long to do what I was asking him to do. He'd put me on hold for 15 minutes at a time. Whereas the guy on Wednesday, it literally took him 2 seconds. He did it while he was talking to me. There you go, there it is, off, done, no problems. He kept telling me that he couldn't find the file, he couldn't convert it, he couldn't get the information I wanted. He was just going to give me, he ended up giving me my entire history, this massive bloody 60-something page document. I got to the point where I said to him, can you please listen to what I'm asking of you? You keep repeating yourself, and it's like you're going over either some preconceived idea you have, or you're just reading from a prompter in front of you. You're not listening. After 45 minutes, I ended up going, oh, for fuck's sake. So then I got in trouble for swearing at him, which I wasn't swearing at him. I was just expressing my sheer and utter frustration that I was unable to communicate my needs. Like, honestly. So then I asked to speak to the consultant I spoke to on Wednesday. Well, he's not available. I can understand that. He's probably with another client. But then I asked if he could either get him to call me back or he could send him an email asking him to forward that information to me, because this other consultant knows what I'm on about. Anyway, it was so painful. It was the most painful thing. I ended up finding the guy on Wednesday. He'd actually sent me his direct email, which I didn't realise. So I found that. I emailed him. And honestly, I'd no longer press send on this email. And he'd sent me the exact document I was asking for. So I'm frustrated about that. I'm frustrated. I've had a package go missing this morning at the post office. They don't know where it is. I'm really stressed about it. So yeah, I'm in a bit of a flap. So if I've lost my train of thought, see, you know, like I started telling you this story to explain why I was doing something, behaving in some way or saying something. I'm aware that I'm speaking faster than I normally do because I'm agitated, for one thing, so I need to calm down. Anyway, let's get back to this. Other thing is, I've been trying to do this video since about 10 o'clock this morning, and it's now like 4 p.m. That's another thing that's frustrating me. Anyway, deep breaths. It's starting to rain now, which is cool. So anyway, as I'm trying to tell you guys, oh, there's water on there. I just had a panic. Where's the water coming from? I remembered. I put a glass on there. It was just water. It's okay. It's all good. So, back to this chocolate linen. I've got some of this linen. I think, oh, that's what I was saying. I'd forgotten to bring out the information about the textiles because I'm in such a flap, and that's why I'm in a flap. I've got about, I think it was 2 meters or 2.5 meters of the chocolate linen. And you know, like, not everyone wants the linen. I can understand that. But I just wanted to show you on the video some of these textiles because I really don't think the photographs on Instagram are showing you how nice some of them are. Another one I've got available is this gingham. And I do have some of this in my personal collection that's linen. It looks very similar. But I'm pretty sure this is not linen. I'm pretty sure it's cotton. And I think it's shirting. Cotton shirting. It's a lovely fabric. It's a vintage fabric. It would be, going off all the other fabrics I have, it would be probably from the early 90s. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful quality fabric. It's a woven fabric. It's not a print. So that pattern is, as you can see from the selvage here, see the little tufts here on the selvage, that it's a lovely woven textile. It's a lightweight fabric, but in saying that, it's, I want to say heavy, that's not the right word. It's a really nice quality. So I've got some of that lovely black and white gingham that's still available on Instagram. I've got a piece of this, what does it come up? I think it's a chintz it comes up as, but it's another woven fabric. I would say this is classified as a light upholstery. Where's a single piece? I must have folded it all in. Where on earth? I can't find a corner to show you. Here we go. So you can see again it's woven. It's got a self pattern. It's a bit creased there, sorry. Has a self pattern. So in the background it's got a self pattern of leaves. You can see a leaf up here. And it's also got another self pattern in sort of, looks like it's behind that, of a basket weave. Can you see that? Oh, well, that's an interesting comment. Okay. You can also see this, retracted now. Okay. You can also see this basket weave that sort of looks like it's in the background again behind the woven self pattern of the leaf. If you look at the back, see those ridges? That's the basket weave again, and you can also see the self pattern of the leaves. Can you see that? I think that's pretty cool. Fascinates me. So then we've got the flowers printed over that again. So I've still got some of that. Some of that has gone, but there's still a bit of that fabric left. It's a nice textile. Then I've got, I might hold off on that for a second because that's one of my favourites. So is that one. Then we've got this one. This is, does it say on here what it is? It tells me the brand and the name of the print, but it doesn't tell me. It's a Colfax and Fowler design, so I believe this is a furnishing fabric. It's a, I would say, I want to say medium weight, but it's actually quite light for a furnishing fabric. It is dated 1995. It's either linen or a linen blend. I think looking at it looks more like linen to me. It's a beautiful, it's soft, it's got a beautiful drape, but I say but because I keep knocking that. It has a very large print. So it's a beautiful fabric. I'm trying to get this so you can appreciate how large this is. And I'm not going to just spend the whole video showing you this. I have another lot of vintage textiles I got recently from the op shop, and I was hoping to do some stitching with you guys too. So here's there's a big, this is one of the big, it's a fruit basket, as you can see, with flowers in it. It's a beautiful fabric. I keep stroking it because it feels beautiful. So they're my hands, so I just want you to see how large this print is. And I think I've got 2 or 3 meters of this. It's a wide, I can't remember if it's 1.4 or 1.7 wide. It's a wide one. I believe it's wider than 1.10 is usually 110 centimeters is usually a quilting fabric. And then upholstery fabrics were often about 1.2, but vintage fabrics were 1.2 as well. Some of them were only 90 centimeters. But you can see here it's called Cheyenne, Cheyne. There we go, Cheyenne. That's the print name, the design name, and it's a Colfax and Fowler design. It's one of their makes, and it is 1995 vintage. That's when it was, that's not when it was printed, that's when it was released in 1995. So there's quite a bit of that. Like I said, it's a beautiful, beautiful fabric. It almost feels like when you lightly stroke it, it almost feels like wool. It's not wool, there's no wool in it. It almost feels a bit like a beautiful wool suiting or something. I'm pretty sure it's linen. It just feels, it's very heavy too. It's another reason it makes me think it's linen. It's a very heavy fabric for its thickness. I brought this out, but it's probably not something you want to see. It's something a bit, I think to me it's a bit weird. It's not something I would buy for myself. I am thinking of experimenting with some though. Got this piece of lace. Now, in the bundle I've got, there was some bridal laces. I'm not entirely convinced this is a bridal lace. It could be a furnishing lace, like a curtain lace, but it's only that wide. That's it, it's from selvage to selvage, which makes me think it might be I don't know what it is, but it's not cotton, it's not linen, it's not a natural fiber. You can see the sheen on it, and it's just leaves. So not something I would choose myself, as I said, because I like the linens and the cottons mainly, and the silks. But I have a piece of this left available if anyone's interested in that. And I think I've listed it as I can cut it into 3 pieces, but if you want it all as one whole, that's fine. Now here's another pretty one I'm surprised no one's looked at. This is do we have it? Yes. This is an interior fabric design incorporated, an original design, 1989. So released in 1989. You can see that down here. DuPont Teflon, which Teflon used to mean back then that if you spilled anything on it, it'd just bead and fall off. Don't know if that's the case, haven't tested it. It's a lightweight furnishing fabric, it's woven, it's beautiful, beautiful quality, but it has this black background. Okay, I've got 2 or 3 meters of that. It's very pretty. I'm tempted to get some of that for myself, but I've got the same design, and some of this one's going. There's not as much of this left. I've got the same design with a cream background. So there we go. I've got those two. They're both the same year, the same design, the same name. Yep. Exactly the same print. One's got the cream background, one's got the black. So I've still got some of that available. I think I've listed them in, you know, like fat quarters or something. Oh, they're actually a bit bigger because I've just split them into 4 pieces or 6 pieces or something. The next piece I have, and I'm also tempted to buy myself a piece of this one too, because this one's very pretty. This one I think I've listed it as cotton, but I actually think it's linen. If it's not linen, it's a very nice quality cotton, and it's a much older fabric. All it says is a Marcus Brothers Textile Incorporated. It's very pretty, this one. It's just, and I know I keep saying this, but it is a stunning quality, this one. Oh goodness me, come on. You can still hear and feel the sizing in it. I don't know if that lens is capturing the weave in that. It actually reminds me of, I have got these, oh, not much of it left now, vintage Actyl sheets, and it is believed they're from the 20s or 30s, but I'll have to look that up to see if it's actually been around that long. That's what I was told when I bought them. The quality is amazing on these Actyl sheets I have, and this reminds me of those sheets, which again makes me turn back to it being cotton. Looks very much like them, and the sheets I have are great for dyeing. They just take up the dye so well, whether it's a man-made dye or a natural dye. So I've still got some of that left. That should still be listed on Instagram. That's a very pretty one. And these next 2 and other ones that I thought would have walked out the door. I've got myself a piece of this because I'm planning on doing a vintage needle book with all these really old textiles in it. This isn't really old, but I think it will fit in with it. Again, this is salvaged. This is salvaged fabric because it's stitched down one side. I believe they were likely, it was either curtains or table. There's 2 pieces though, which makes me think curtains, but it didn't have the curtain tabbing at the top. So I wanted to try and show you this in the video because it's a beautiful piece of fabric. I can imagine it as a page in one of those vintage needle books, but even as a background on a textile collage, or look at that. It's obviously self-patterning, Is it classified as a chintz or a... It's not damask, I don't think. It reminds me of damask, but I think it's more of a chintz. So yeah, that's another one that I thought would have walked out the door. And then this one, I don't think I've even sold any of this. This is a chintz. This is stunning. I'm going to have to get myself some of this one too. It's cut at a funny shape on the back, but again, another beautiful woven fabric. Look at that selvage. Now sometimes I just want the selvage. Look at the character in that. That's very cool. If we look at the back, we can see that woven self-patterning. And look, the back of this is just as stunning as the front. Where's it? See if I can get a better. Look at the back. This is the wrong side. Look at that. It's almost a silver on that. It's like a, what would I call that colour? It's not a peach or apricot. It's sort of a, I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe a light terracotta with a bit of apricot mixed in. So there's the back of that. I think the back's stunning. And then that's all that self-patterning, all the woven in self-patterning. It's got the flowers on it. Look at that little flower there. It's very pretty. And then when we come to the front, we've got the print overlaid on the top, and it's got these beautiful cabbage roses. Look at that. And then see, this is the self-patterned bit that we saw on the back. These flowers and the leaves. And then these beautiful roses printed on the front. So I've still got some of that left as well. That's a beautiful one. So before, oh, the other thing is, I don't think I've shown you, I want to remind you I've still got some of these vintage cottons bundles for sale, and these fabrics are beautiful. I know I keep saying that, but they really are. They're genuine 1990s vintage quilting fabrics. They're all cotton. Well, the prints are all cotton. I have shown these before. They're absolutely beautiful, and the plains are poly cotton. So I have reduced the price on these to move them, because I'd really like to get some more money for the aged care facility. I'm pretty sure I've dropped the prints down to $5 a fat quarter, and the plains are down to $2. Some of them I haven't even charged for the plains. If they've got a mark on them, I've just included them without charge. And they're listed on my Instagram page at Gladys and Maud Unearthed. And I wanted to show you, why did I bring this out? Oh, maybe to put that in. I wanted to show you I've still got some of these cotton laces for sale. This is one of them, woven like a, not quite a torchon lace, but it's a genuine woven cotton lace. It is a wide one, yes. Beautiful quality though. I've still got some of this listed, and I have already bought myself some of this. This one does have some age marks on it. You can see down here there's some tiny little, I haven't soaked this. I reckon it would come up very nicely if it was soaked. But I've got some of that genuine vintage cotton. A lot of the stuff I have is dated 1990. I've been led to believe these cottons are older. Just looking at the cards they come on, some of the braids are a lot older as well. Obviously that was a truck. Now the other thing I'm surprised hasn't shifted is this beautiful, beautiful cotton lace. This is stunning. It's white, as you can see. But can you imagine that? It's 100% cotton. It is vintage. It's at least, it's no newer than 1995. Everything that came out of this shop, the newest items that are there are 1995, so it could be older, but it's definitely not newer. You can see, I don't know if you can see, it's actually all woven. I'm assuming it's woven by a machine. No one sat there with their little lace bobbins and woven this piece, but there was a factory join here. Can you see that? Because it came off a card. Came off the card. Here's the piece, and there's another factory join. So here's a piece that was cut off because it had the join there. But yeah, I'm surprised this one's still here. It's beautiful. Imagine that on your collages, or on as a tie, a wrap on a needle book even. That would be stunning. Let me see if I've got one sitting here we can look at. Here we go. This one's not finished, but here's a, it's only a small one, so it's going to be a big tie on this little book. But look at that. Imagine that as a tie on a needle book. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Beautiful. Let's just do an overhand tie to show you what it will look like. There we go. Look at that. Now that wide one even works on this little book. So I've still got some of that listed on my Instagram, and I've still got heaps of the nylon or polyester laces, whatever they are. I've still got lots of those left, and I've still got some of that beautiful vintage gimp that I showed earlier as well. This one, still got some of this one. Very nice quality. And that yellowing you can see is where someone's put tape on it. Might be from the factory, I'm not sure. It's a join. It's a factory join, and they've joined it with sticky tape. Goodness me. So there's a lovely piece of gimp there. That one we established is definitely older than 1995. And this next one is more like the 50s, dated to the 50s, 60s even. This is stunning, this one. It's only a small one. This gimp. But it's beautiful. It's very soft. Beautiful quality. So I've still got some of that too, along with most of the other laces. Right. I've shown you those things that are still left. And amongst, there's heaps of others, as I mentioned. There's heaps of things still left, which I'd love to be able to move so I can get some more money for that aged care facility. They're really hoping to get a new overlocker amongst other things they need to help the residents. We're nowhere near that yet. We're getting there. We're making progress, which is better than what we've done for many years. But the other thing, these pieces, these fabrics, so where did I put those? This one here, which is this one. I still have some of this by the meter, if anyone's interested in that. I've still got that one's not in there. That's interesting. I've got a piece of this one that's not in that bundle. I've still got some of that by the meter. I've still got this one on the bottom. I still have some of that by the meter. It's a pretty little floral. I still have some of this one here by the meter. And again, these are all dated 1995 or between 1990 to 1995. Most of them are 1995. I still have some of this one by the meter. This one here, which is this one. And I still have some of this stunning paisley by the meter as well. Look at this paisley. It's beautiful. I still have some of that by the meter. So that's what those bits are there to remind me. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you guys, I have shown these before, and I did suggest I could make some if anyone wanted some. But I've got this fringing that I've crocheted. If anyone would like to buy any of this, let me know. Now these particular pieces, most of these are going to be expensive because this one, and this one, I have carded the fibre, I have spun it by hand on a spinning wheel. I had to card and blend these fibres to spin, and this one's been hand dyed. So there's a lot of work gone into those fibres. So they will be a bit expensive if anyone wants to buy those bits. This one and this one were already commercially spun pure wool, Australian wool, and I hand dyed this one and someone else hand dyed this one. So there's still a bit of work gone into those, not as much, so they'll be a little bit expensive as well. These ones will be a bit cheaper because this is mohair, but it was commercially spun, okay? So they won't be as expensive because a machine made those. I have crocheted the fringing though. This one is silk, 100% pure silk. I have spun and dyed that myself, so that one will be expensive as well. This is just a piece of crochet cotton, that won't be expensive. Okay, so if anyone wants to buy any of those, they are available for sale. I haven't listed them. I don't know if it's worth listing them. I do have some acrylic here, not a lot. I've gotten rid of most of my acrylic because I don't use it. But I do have some here that I can do some fringing in acrylic, if that's what you'd prefer to be more affordable. That is another option. I do have more wool colours, a lot more wool colours, and I can even spin more colours up. I'm not ready to dye any new colours yet. I can, but I'm not going to at the moment. I've got enough going on. Okay, what I'd like to show you now is some of the stuff I got at the op shop again recently. I want to show you this. I bought this, not for myself, but I thought it was so cute and I thought someone else might like to buy it. Can you see? Down here, there's I don't know if it's a mat or a table, there's a bottle, and that looks like a martini glass with a bit of slice of citrus on it, and there's a straw in it. We've got the martini glass there. And then we've got, I believe that's a dog. And that's printed, the black outline's printed on this piece of acetate. And then if we pull here and slide it along, you can see that print stays on the acetate. And then it gets coloured in behind there. And then it says, "Just dreaming of you." It's just a little gift card, and it's vintage. Well, it's vintage. I say vintage. Looking at it, I'd say it's 1980s. There's no date on it. It's printed in Great Britain. You can see that down there. I haven't Googled it. It might come up. But I thought it was so sweet. And I don't know, I might list that for sale. It's got marks on it. It's old. It's been around. I haven't checked. I was just seeing if anything's written on it. There's nothing written on it. It hasn't been used. But it was really cute, so that came home with me. I bought this. I didn't know what this was. The information at the bottom had been covered with the price sticker, the brand or whatever. I thought it was just a little Japanese one. And again, I didn't know what it was. There's no handle. I've since found out it was originally a sugar bowl, and it is Princess Roses, Queen Anne, bone china made in England. So it's a good quality one. It did give me a date. I can't remember if it said the 70s. It doesn't look that old to me. It is dated anyway. So I got that. I like that. And then I found this, and this too was covered by the price. I actually didn't think there was anything underneath it on the back, and I thought it was just a little inexpensive Japanese little tray, but it was so cute it had to come home with me. And when I got it home, I peeled the label off the back, and it is a Camelot fine bone china made in England. And when I looked it up, it is worth a little bit of money. But I thought that was so cute. Can you imagine that sitting on your table, on your desk, and putting your pins in it? I thought that was very sweet. I like that one. Had to come home. Okay, what else have I gotten recently? Mainly yesterday. There's a couple of things here from the markets that you haven't seen because they were soaking. I did buy myself a pair of shoes yesterday from the op shop. I haven't done that for years. But these shoes were brand new. They're still in the box. They get them in. I was speaking to the manager yesterday. They get them in almost weekly from a shoe shop somewhere, or from I actually looked this brand up and they no longer exist. They folded in December last year. So I'm assuming that might be why they're getting them. They're brand new, never been worn. The price here, which apparently they were still being sold in December, $169. I paid $10 for them. And for me, $10 is a lot to pay for a pair of shoes from the op shop. I actually bought my mother a couple of pairs last week because they had her tiny little foot size. And I don't normally wear heels these days. And this wasn't my first choice, but it's the only pair they had in my size. And I need a nice pair of dress shoes. Not that I go out often, maybe once or twice a year, you know, to an awards ceremony or an event or a not-for-profit event, or maybe my son took me out for dinner in August last year. And when I do go out to these things, I like to look nice. And when I went to go out for my son's birthday last August, I got my good shoes out, and I've had them that long, they disintegrated. So I don't have any nice footwear. I bought a nice linen suit about 18 months ago I've never worn. So I thought these would go well with that. And look at them. I was so impressed with those. They're a little bit of an old lady's shoe with the bow on the front. I might be able to... I mean, honestly, by the time... I only ever wear trousers. It's very, very, very rare you'll see me in a dress. By the time I get my trousers on, you're not going to see this anyway. But look at that heel. Aren't they pretty? And they're Italian leather. They're beautiful. Beautiful shoe for $10. I couldn't leave that there in my size. So that's something I got at the op shop yesterday. Now, this is I've been looking for such tea towels, and I was stoked when I found this one. Not quite as pretty as I was hoping, but it's still pretty cool. Got this at the op shop last week. Oh, earlier this week. Isn't it pretty? It's linen. It's pink. It's not red. It's got a hole in it, which is okay. I can either mend that or work with it. However, I soaked it when I got home, and stupidly the colour ran, and I'm so cranky with myself. There's a few things that happened to. I was so cranky. Gee, it smells good though. I make my own starch, and I put a couple of drops of lavender oil in it, so all my linen smells lovely. Now this is something, I haven't shown my daughter this yet. I bought this. This is one I bought at the market I spoke about on Australia Day. And I haven't shown you yet because it was soaking and it needed to be pressed. Now I just picked it up out of the pile. The lady charged me bugger all for it. It wasn't until I got home and opened it up to see what it actually was. It's a linen, it's like a little It's just a little tray cloth or table topper sort of thing. It's not very large. And I've got it folded, obviously. But this crochet, I'm flabbergasted. When I saw it, I was just, when I realised what it was, absolutely flabbergasted. Now, before I show you that, look, they've even done a nice little feather stitched edge along here, if you can see that. But bloody, this is what bugs me. I got all these yellow stains out, okay, after I soaked it, and then I press it, and then a few days later to a week later, they start to show again. I don't know what that's about. I need to do some research. If you know, let me know. But you've probably already noticed. Look at this. It's crocheted spider's webs. Now, there's my hand to give you an idea of the size. I couldn't work out how this person has done this. We've got these flowers or snowflakes around each spider's web. I had to get a magnifying glass out to look. They have used such fine crochet cotton and such a fine crochet hook. These are stitched. They're chain stitched between each bar, and then she's picked up, I don't know, like she's done a DC or something here for the, somehow she's done these spokes and then picked up the chain as she's gone around. It's just amazing. It's absolutely incredible how this person's, I say she, I assume a lady's done it. May have been a man. My uncle used to crochet and embroider and knit, and he used to do a lot of silk embroideries. Yeah, he used to do a lot, so I shouldn't assume a lady's done it, should I? That's another one I wanted to show you. I forgot to show you the other day a couple of things from Nairi, and I've still left one inside. I got these, I might have shown these, bloody cockatoos. I might have shown these because I can vaguely remember talking about them now. So I apologise if I've shown them. These cute little filet crochet, they might be coasters or something. They're just little squares. I thought they'd be perfect. They're larger than I thought, smaller than I thought, which is great because this size is perfect for what I want. Look at that, they're very cool. And again, I apologise if I've already shown them. Got another bundle from Nairi on Tuesday, arrived on Tuesday, and this is just stunning again. It was wrapped up in this, I don't know if it's a hanky or a napkin. Beautiful, beautiful fabric. It looks like cotton to me. Lovely little pink little card from Nairi as usual. And then, oh my goodness, look at this. Some gingham bows. I should take them out and show you, shouldn't I? I had a quick look through this when it came and I was so excited. I still haven't taken it all in. Look at these little, I didn't even look at these properly. Look at them, little hearts, little floral hearts. They're very sweet. Oh my goodness, look at that. I didn't realize they were all floral. I thought they were, because on the back they're colored, see? I thought they were just, geez, I'm a goose. Look at this. Oh, aren't they gorgeous? Oh, I didn't even see this at all. Goodness me, look at this. It's stunning. Look at that. It's beautiful. Oh, I love it. Just looking at how that's done. I wonder if I think it's done on a machine, but I wonder if I can replicate that. That is very cool. And then there's all these little gingham bows. They're very pretty. Look at they're a very nice colour. There's a few of those. And then the piece de resistance in this little pouch. These vintage cotton reels. Look at that. Now, until Nairi posted these, I had never seen them before on the cardboard like that. I've never seen them. Star Bobbin Style, American Thread Company. How cool is that? Made in the USA. I had never seen them before. Now look, this one's got number 16. This one's got number 36 and this one's got number 20. So I wonder if that's the colours. So that came, I'm still going, guys. I'm still unwrapping this parcel from Nairi. Oh, that is just beautiful. Thank you again, Nairi. I have messaged her. I have sent a message to thank her profusely. That is just gorgeous. And then I love coloured doilies. I don't often buy them anymore. I don't buy the cream ones much anymore. But look at this. The colour is beautiful. Lovely vintage. It's not really orange. It's like this side's lighter than the other. It's very cute. I like that. And then look at this. This is beautifully done as well. Another crochet doily. It's beautiful. Very pretty, that one. And look at this. This is, I can't quite work this out. I thought it was folded, but it's been, I thought it was a teapot cover. My mother thinks it's to cover a toaster, but I don't think it's big enough. You know, like at the top here, it's only, I haven't brought my tape measure out. It's only this wide at the top. It's linen. Again, beautiful fabric and embroidered. So to me that looks a bit like a sugar bowl with, oh look at, I didn't realise these flowers. So these are blanket stitched, but then this one down here has got, unless it's lifted, oh it's lifted. I thought it was three-dimensional, but it's lifted. See, it's lifted away from the linen there. But beautiful stitching. And then there's these eyelets. I wonder if they were functional or if they're just, yeah, and I'm not sure. Is it supposed to be cut off at the top there? I don't think so, because those eyelets wouldn't be hidden, but they're not really. They're just tucked away. And it's not straight either. So I don't know if it's been repurposed or, but anyway, I love it. It fascinates me trying to work out what some of these were. See, there's that one. And this, oh, I have been hunting everywhere for some strawberries. And look, aren't they gorgeous? There's that one. And there's that one. So I got me a couple of strawberries. Woohoo! Wonder if I can add to that. I've got this beautiful hanky. Look at the colours. Got that one. We've got these, I feel like they're napkins, and I thought they'd make great pockets in needle books. Look at that. So there's two of those, and then this one, another napkin, and they smell good too. I can smell them as I was going through them. Another beautiful hanky. I've used hankies in my needle books, and I put a beautiful retro one in one that I've done, or did I put it in a kit? Another beautiful embroidered hanky. Look at that. That one's gorgeous. That's a very large embroidered rose compared to most of the hankies I come across. And another one, look at that one. Beautiful. Then we've got this, oh, it's just so soft. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's got, look at this, it's got so much character. I love it. This cotton, this crochet edge is so soft. And so is this linen. I wonder if it's what it's been washed in or something. It's just beautiful. And then look at these. These are salvaged embroideries. I don't know what she salvaged them from, but maybe a scarf, since it's got the... Look at that. I can't get it clear enough to show you. It's beautiful. Look at that. Someone stitched it. I thought it was machine stitched at first, but this has been stitched by hand. That's gorgeous. And that, but look at the next one. Oh, look at that. It's so pretty. Beautiful. And then this piece of lace, which we believe was an old collar. Beautiful, beautiful lace. Look at that. Stunning. Obviously that's going to go into my lace collection. I will use these one day. They're just so beautiful. I don't want to... And then look at this. You know, I used to have some of these and I gave them all away because I didn't like them. I thought they were horrid. And now, the last 12 months or so, I've absolutely fallen in love with them again. So I've been on the lookout for these applique. They used to be everywhere when I was a kid. Look at that. So I don't think I've ever seen a yellow one like this before. I've got some yellow napkins, but they're not this yellow. They're different. They're more red. Then a piece, look at this. This is to add to my special fabrics, my 1920s era. Absolutely stunning. I love it. Beautiful. And then another stamped linen. I collect these. I've got a real soft spot for these. And yes, I have been embroidering them and I have been crocheting them, but I absolutely love these unworked stamped linens. I'm always on the lookout for them. I saw a couple come up this morning on one of the girls that sells, and I didn't buy them because I'm out of money at the moment. But I was looking at them thinking, oh, I wish I could get those to add to my collection. I think my problem is I need to stop looking. I've got to stop looking. If I don't look, I'm not going to know that I've missed them, am I? You know, like, I don't need them all. I just love them. And I'm just not collecting them and hoarding them. I'm making things with them. And the ones that I don't think I'll use, I'm selling on to other people. And I'm making kits with some of the things. So they're not just, I'm not just hoarding them, guys. They're not just getting stashed away in my Narnia type cupboard where they go through and never come out again. So, oh, how special is that? I'm so blessed to get that stuff. That's just awesome. But I've got more that I found yesterday. I went to an op shop yesterday, one of my regulars, and the manager was there, and I'd never met the manager in this op shop before. And I was looking in the linen, and she came out to speak to me about something, about recycling clothing or something. And I said to her, well, look, I've actually come to see if you had any more embroidered linens in yet, but you don't have any. And she said, come with me. I'll take you up the back. So I had to go with her out the back of the shop through the staff only area. She took me up to one of their storage sheds up the back and brought out a tub with linen in it. I went a bit silly. I had to put some back because I didn't have enough money. And she did tell me she'd hold them for me. But, you know, like realistically, I just don't have the money to just keep buying all these massive amounts of linen. But I'm pretty sure when I go back there, she's going to be bringing it out in dribs and drabs anyway, so I'm still probably not going to miss out. I seem to be one of the very few that go to that shop to buy linens. Another thing she actually gave me, and I did go to the effort to wind all these yesterday, and they've all come undone again. She gave me some more of these for I've got my grandmother's original collection, and they're in a big glass bowl. But the bowl's not quite full, so I've been adding to it. So this lovely lady gave me some more of these wooden wooden spools to add to my collection. And I've got these ones. I could have taken more, but I didn't want to be greedy. I didn't want to take all of them. I only took a small amount of them. There's still a lot left there, but they're all hidden away in the back shed. So what impresses me about this lot, there are two in here that still have the plastic on them. And you know what? I remember playing with these at my grandma's and didn't see the value in them. She always used these. This is all she used when she was sewing. And I've still got her, you know, the concertina sewing basket too that she used to keep them in. And I used to go through it and organise them for her whenever I was there because it was just all knotted up. But I only noticed this last night. I've never noticed this on these before. They've actually got the name of the colour printed on the bottom. So this is pale salmon. I don't know if that's picking that up with that lens. This isn't. This frustrates me when they don't stay in their little... Oh, now I've dropped it. So if you haven't seen these before, I'm just winding it back up, the one I just dropped. If you haven't seen these before, and this isn't a good one to do as a demo, because I think those two kept snapping. These are all wooden reels, okay? If you haven't seen them. And this will show you the label's fallen off the bottom, so this will show you that they're wood, okay? They're vintage. I don't know when they were last made. I can look it up. But obviously that sticker's fallen off. It might have been the sticker that I saw floating in the bottom of the drawers shed yesterday. And before I go on, my grandma always said to me, go and get me the Silco. And she meant cotton. You know, if she had other cotton reels that weren't Silco brand or Dewhurst Silco, she always said, go and get me the Silco. And I couldn't understand why she called it Silco. Now we know it's Silco, okay? But, so I assume this is the top with the brand on it. If you turn it over, this one's Copper Beach. There's numbers on there too. This is D170. The pale salmon is D199. This one's different, so it doesn't have... This one says for synthetic fabrics. This is another Dewhurst, but it's not. Doesn't have the colour. It's got a number, D2484. This is light slate, D73. This is gladioli red, or gladiole red, D306. There's another one of those that's different. Doesn't have the... You know why? This is nylon. That's why. The others are cotton. That's why they're different. This one is Sunrise. The colour is called D311. I assume the D stands for Dewhurst, John Dewhurst. This one is Dark Juniper, D387. Green Slate, D186. Signet. It's a pretty colour though. And Red Salmon, D234. This one is different again. It's much thicker. It's like a top stitch or a lacing stitch or something. And it says Terraline polyester fibre, made in Great Britain. So I don't think I've seen this before. It's got D124 on it. But what I wanted to show you, this is Copper Beach. I think I've already told you that. If you're not familiar with these, I'm trying to find one where you can see it clearly. If you can see on the end of the reel, there's little divots, little lines cut in to the timber all the way around. They all go at the same angle all the way around. I don't know if it's actually showing those. I don't think it's picking it up. They don't have it on the bottom there. but this one keeps coming undone. It frustrates me. So you can just see it in, this reel if it's picking it up. All those little tiny cuts. They don't go all the way through. They're just decorative, really. But to hold your tail so it doesn't keep unraveling, one of those little cuts goes all the way through, and just enough so you can pull your tail through it so it doesn't keep unraveling. So they all do that. They should all do that. They don't all hold though. So if you didn't know, that's what you do with them. And that's the one I got off Nairi the other day. I'll put that with those. Okay, what else did we get from there? A bag. It says $3. I don't think she charged me for it because my totals just didn't add up. So this has got, there's lots of bits that are cut off, which is a bit of a shame because the packaging's not only collectible, it's worth a bit of money, and it's also great to use in journals and things. This says wartime pack, so these must be old. Wartime pack, made in England. There's bits that are cut off. They're press studs, hook and eye. There's a large press stud. Here's another bit, unfortunately been cut off. Made in England, hook and eye, guaranteed rustless. That's stuck on there. These large ones, that other one in there might have torn out of this packet. Newies, pelican snaps, made in England. More pelican snaps. Newies, that one's got a pin in it. I haven't come across these particular ones before. I've seen some of the others, made in England, but look at this. This is something I've never seen either. They're tear-off cards. So they've been torn off. You probably just bought two. You could buy two at a time, I'd say. Probably went down to the store. There's a couple more. That card's been cut. That's more modern. These, I believe, might be from Big W. I vaguely remember these from the 80s. There's some hook and eyes with the same branding. No, they're Prim. Made in Germany. Well, there you go. Aeroslide fasteners, Bankstown, New South Wales, made in West Germany. Well, there you go. We've got more bits here. Made in sizes. So that one's been cut up as well. Here's another bit. Made in England. British snaps. Wartime pack. That might be the whole pack. Here I am thinking the top had been cut off. That might be the whole thing. Wartime pack, made in England. Now that's a keeper. I haven't had that one before. Here's some more hook and eyes in black. I just want to show you the bits first. This one I've had before, a full card. I've got one in there somewhere. This one's more modern, made in Japan. It actually says, oh no, we've got Australian and New Zealand there. I thought it might have been brought over the ditch by someone. Here's a more modern Newy card, made in England. It's got a barcode on it, so it's not that old. Here we go, hook and eyes, same brand, Newy. Might be a bit older, there's no barcode on that one. See, this is where I thought they'd been cut off the bottom of, but that's different again. These aren't that old, I don't think, just some snaps. British, that one's a bit tattered. There's a Newy pack, but I don't know if you can see, these ones are actually corroded. So I might take those out of that pack, or they might make the others corrode as well. Don't know if they're rescuable. Here we've got a Butron. I've got a box of these, not this size, this is a good size. The ones I've got are larger. They're for covering your buttons. self button covering kit. Now I've seen these containers before. My nan had a couple, but I didn't realise that the hook and eye came in them. See how it's got the cardboard divider down the middle to separate the black from the silver? I didn't realise they came like that. Here we have another Big W card. This is the one I was thinking of. Made in Birmingham, England. Something replacement or money refund. Look, 90 cents. That would have come from Big W, and our local Big W was at Waratah. It's now Kmart. So there we go. And here's a full card. Oh no, there's one missing. Bum. Another Big W one. Woolworths. Then we've got the British Snap, made in England. Rustless. So there's a full card. Size 00. So look, different size cards. These are fabulous. I think these are collectors. These are collectible. I try to keep these undamaged and, well, less damaged than what they are. So I think they're fabulous. And then this one, this is a beautiful vintage card. Another Newies, hook and eye. It's in a bit of a rough shape, but made in England, extra japanned finish. I'm not sure what japanned finish means. Maybe that black colour. Oh yeah, Japan. Japan black. You use that on furniture, don't you? Well, there you go. That's what it'll be, the black finish. So I don't think she charged me for that bag. I've got this. I actually bought this for myself. I thought it was really sweet. It's homemade, but it doesn't fit me, so I might have to unsell this. So when I first looked at it, it's an apron. And it's not that odd because I've seen this fabric before. When I first looked at it, I thought it went like that. I thought, why have they done it upside down? But, silly me, this is the front. They've put pockets in it. Just folded the fabric up. So this is really sweet. I'm actually thinking about making some larger ones for us more full of figured women out there, and men. I know men like to wear them too. So I might even make some of those. I think that's really cute. So that might be getting on sold in my Instagram because it won't fit me, but it's very sweet. Lovely fabric. Very cute how it's been made. So I got that one. Okay, now I've got some linens to go through and show you. I've got another, I call these fingertip towels. Other people call them tray cloths. Obviously it's folded in half. So I've got this one. It is hand stitched. I have seen these before. I think they might have come out of China. They're sort of mass produced. Lovely little crochet edge on the bottom. So I've got that one, what I call a fingertip towel. Some people call them guest towels. Most people call them tray cloths. I got this beautiful one. I haven't seen one like this before and I love it. I think this will go in my special collection. Look at that. Isn't it cool? Another fingertip towel or guest towel. Obviously hand embroidered, but I love that one. Lovely little crochet edge. Lovely stitching. So yeah, love that one. Got that one yesterday from the big shed. This next one's beautiful. I've had linen ones before, and some of the ones I've got are stunning. And this is another, oh, it smells so pretty. This one actually, this came from a deceased estate, she told me that, and it actually smells like grandma. Isn't that sad? Well, it's not a horrible smell. It's a lovely, very memory invoking smell. It smells like grandma's perfume or her her chest of drawers or something. It's very pretty. But look at this one. Beautiful linen. That's adorable, that one. I haven't seen one quite like that before. There's another linen one here. Beautiful colour. I don't think I've got this colour. I don't have one the same as this at all, actually. It's beautiful. Look at that. Cut work, all done by hand. Looks a little bit, I think it's upside down. It looks like it's been embroidered upside down, the flower. See, I would have the flower facing that way, but the embroidery goes that way. Looks a little bit like a flannel flower to me. I don't think it is, but it's beautiful. Look at that. Got some special pieces yesterday. I'm going to skip over a couple because they're some of my favourites. They're all beautiful. Okay. Look at this. This is linen tablecloth. And it's all in mauves and purples. And I think it is. There's a vase in the corner and it looks like geraniums to me. Maybe not. Maybe it's not geraniums. But the looks like geranium leaves, doesn't it? But aren't the colours so pretty? They're so soft and delicate, and I love purple's my favourite colour, so I fell in love with that as soon as I saw it. And that is a tablecloth. I don't know how big it is. I haven't even opened it all the way yet. Linen, beautiful. There is a little bit of wear on one side, I noticed when we were getting it out yesterday. Another tablecloth. This is all hand embroidered. Another linen one. This one unfortunately has paint on it, so I don't know if I'll be able to clean it up. It may be a... Look at that. There's paint, unfortunately. But look at this. It's stunning. Beautiful linen. And I think this might be machine embroidered looking at the back of that. Or how about that? I was convinced to look at the front it was hand stitched. But if I look at the back, I think that might be machine embroidered. Well, there we go. That's definitely machine embroidered. Those lines. Well, I have never seen that before in this sort of situation. There's these little ones towards the centre. Looking at the front of this, I would have sworn black and blue that it was all hand embroidered. How about that? It's not. It is still beautiful though. Lovely linen piece. Oh, this was actually wrapped up in something else. I nearly missed it. And I think it's just a scarf. It's black. And there's one little rose up here. Up here. I wonder if there's one on the other side. Yep, there's one on the other end. Just up from, I don't know, maybe 30 centimetres from the bottom. And then across the bottom where the fringing is this. Look at that. I believe it's in silk. I bought this to chop up, but it's stunning. It's not, it's just it's not cotton. But I think I might actually wear it. I like it. Oh, it is hand stitched. Look at the back. It's hand stitched, but look how neat the back is. Oh my goodness. You could wear it in reverse. Wow. Okay, I got that one yesterday. I got this runner, I suppose you'd call it. It's just over 1 metre long, maybe 1.10. It's all hand embroidered linen. Look at that. Now I thought I saw, yeah, look, there's some, it's worn here. It's been so loved and pressed that many times. The cotton's worn through. in some spots. This is when I don't know whether to try and repair it. Look, there we go. That's all worn. One of them I did repair and it came up really well. You couldn't even tell I'd done it. But I don't know. So I got that one. It does have a couple of little holes in it as well. And little, I mean little. Can you see that? This one there. And then there's a couple of little ones. See along here. Little pin-sized one there. And I don't know if you can see, but you can just see the transfer where the cotton's worn off in here, and in the centre here there's still some trace of that transfer on there. So that's a bit cool. Gee, this one's a little bit more worn than I realised. I might have to do a bit of repair on it. Okay, what can I show you next? I want to leave that for one of the last ones because it's just remarkable, I think. Okay, little white work one. And I haven't soaked any of these yet. So there's still some yellow in, but it's very pretty. Hand stitched. All done by hand. Little white work, very fine. What can I show you next? Okay, I got two of these. They're on linen, hand embroidered. Pretty little crochet edge. It's like a little shell edge. I often see this crocheted edge on some of these. I'm going to have to work it out so I can do some myself. It's very pretty. So there's two of those ones. Let's look at the back. Very neat. Look at that. And then two of these rosebuds. I was excited to get these. These are on linen again. Not the finest embroidery. It's a bit chunky, but it's very pretty. The back's pretty neat. Two of those little guys. Then I've got, what can I show you next? This one's pretty. This is all hand stitched. Look at this one. That one's gorgeous. I think some of these are just really beautiful. Someone's hand stitched that. You can look at the back, you can really tell. Not the neatest, but it's a bit unavoidable with this style because you don't want to end off at every little bloody daisy stitch. So there's some travelling, but that's pretty well unavoidable. It's on linen again. Lovely little cloth, that one. Oops, sorry guys, I just bumped you. And then this is pretty. This is a bit. This one, this surprised me. The lady pulled this one out for me. At first we thought it was a little tablecloth. Then we thought it was a doily, and that's what I sat at, you know, just this. And of course this is all hand stitched. And again, I think these were sort of out of China or Taiwan or something in the 60s, 70s, maybe a bit earlier. But when I got it home and opened it up, look at that stitching in there, that pink. The little grub roses. Look at the grub roses on that flower. It's so fine, it's beautiful. When I opened it up, I've never seen this like this before. It's got a backing on it. It must have been, I'd imagine, for a little cushion. So maybe for a cot cushion. But to top it all off, there's a little laundry tag. Look at that, little initials. It's beautiful. Now, I've seen these because I got some in the pack I bought from Beck from Sobe. It wasn't these initials, obviously. I can't remember what they were. I only got two. And I mean one or two. Anyway, and I've seen them for sale. I'd like to buy the boxes of them. I've seen them in boxes, the French laundry tags. They're amazing. But I've never actually seen them on anything that I've bought. So I was very excited to see that. I love it. F.E. That's actually my uncle's initials. Francis. I think it was Francis Edward. Francis. So that was another special little one. Then I got this little tray cloth or doily. Very pretty. This one's on cotton, I believe, but it's all cross-stitched, or most of it's cross-stitched. It's all done by hand. Beautiful work. Lovely. Then I've got some of these pieces. They're just stunning. I just don't know what to say. I mean, I get really excited about some of these. You guys may not, but I do. Now these are machine stitched, but look at this hanky. It's so pretty. I don't have one quite like this. Look at that fabric for starters. Look at that. It's beautiful. So I like that one. This is another machine stitched one, but very pretty. Oh, no wonder it didn't look right to me. Someone's folded it backwards. So I was looking at the back of the... Look at this one. It's got silk. That embroidery is silk. But look at this down here. It's all done by machine, but it's so pretty and delicate. And this is what was showing. It didn't make sense to me. I don't have my glasses on. I think I've left my glasses somewhere, actually. I can't find them. I think I've left them at the hospital when I went for hydrotherapy yesterday. I should have called them today to see if they were there. Silly me, I knew there was another phone call I had to make. Okay, then I've got this crocheted linen hanky. This is beautiful. I keep saying that, don't I? I love them. Oh, I didn't notice. It's got a name on it, or a month. Jan. Look at that. Jan. I didn't even notice that because it was backwards again. Linen. Look at that. Wow. Another precious little one. This one's not as old. It's probably 1980s, maybe a bit newer. But I love it, and I had to have it. Are you ready? It's just cotton. I had to have this one. Platypus, frilled neck lizard, ring-tailed possum, koala, emu, kookaburra, kangaroo and echidna. Echidnas are my spirit animal. I love them. And every time I encounter one, they come right up to me. It's a spin out. I've got one on video. It's amazing. I should upload it to YouTube so you can see it. It's the most amazing experience. I've had a lot with the echidnas, but I actually got this one on video so I can keep watching it. And it was the best experience I've had with a wild animal, I believe, or a wild echidna at least. Another hanky. Look at this one. Now I've got one a little bit similar to this, but it's not on every corner. It's only in one corner. This one's got every corner. So I love that one. Okay. And this next hanky, oh, it is divine. I love it. I mean, yeah, some of you guys overseas have got some that are much, much older. Even in Australia, much, much older than these. But this one is stunning. And this one I'm actually tempted to do a fancy crochet edge around it. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? It's stunning. It's all pulled and drawn thread work. And then the way they've done the pulled thread work here, they've made it into an image. Isn't that amazing? I've never seen one like this, not in my hot little hands anyway. I love it. So I'm very tempted to do a fancy crochet edge around this one because it's just stunning, and I think that would just give it so much more oomph. Okay, I've got 2 more sandwich tray cloths. I'm always on the hunt for these. This poor little guy is very loved. He's got a couple of little holes in him. Very pretty though, look at that one. All hand embroidered. And I believe that is linen, a very, very fine linen. And then I've got another very, very fine linen. Now I haven't seen one like this before. Maybe they're very common where you are, but I loved it, so I had to have it. Look at that. Beautiful too. All cross stitched by hand. Look at the back of this cross stitch work though. It's immaculate. I can't help but wonder, just the colours and the patterns, I can't help but wonder if it may be from Greece or somewhere in that sort of part of the world. Now this next piece, this is my last piece. I nearly knocked the lady over to get this as she was pulling it out. Absolutely love it. I have not seen one before. I've seen similar things for hankies, but not serviette or hand embroidered. Now what I found is interesting about this one, and I might be wrong, it's on linen and there's actually serviettes in it that came with it. They're just cotton, they're nothing special. It's Joe, please stop yelling at him. This actually reminds me of muslin, these cotton serviettes, they're so loosely woven. They're damask, I believe. Nothing fancy. But what is very special about this, if I'm correct, look at the back of the work as well. There's this little symbol down in the corner. And I believe, I haven't double checked, but I believe that's the sign for the Girl Guides. So I'm wondering if this was a project that a Girl Guide did for her, one of her badges. Isn't it amazing? I love it. It is so cool. So there we go. That was my unexpected. When I went to this shop yesterday, I actually had to go and see if I could swap a pair of shoes. And I hadn't planned on buying anything. I didn't have the money. But when I saw these things, I couldn't say no. And the manager of this store has now told me, since yesterday, which is very dangerous, she has said to me, if you ever see any linens and things that you'd really like and don't have the money, let me know and I'll put them aside for you and you can pay them off. And I'm like, oh, you are kidding. That is amazing. That is fabulous. But it's also giving me permission to spend more money than I have, really. But that's okay. That's good. That's how often are you told in this day and age that shops, especially op shops, will let you lay by stuff? So that was very cool. Very cool indeed. I know the very big one in town that's local to me here does not allow anything like that anymore. I used to know the manager of the big one here, and because I used to do the high teas to raise funds for charitable organisations. She used to save the trios for me and the linen. So they'd come in and she'd save them and I'd go down and see if there's anything that I'd like, and she used to hang on to them for me and let me pay them off. But there's all new people in there now. There has been for years, so I haven't even asked. But I know for a fact they don't let you do that anymore. It's just such a huge facility now and they've got such a big turnover. They can't afford to be doing that sort of thing. You know, if everyone had them holding things. The other thing I know at this particular store, a lot of people don't return. They'll ask to have things put away and then they never see them again. It's I don't know how to explain. We'll just leave it at that, I think, actually. Otherwise I might become inadvertently offensive and that's not what I want to do. Now, after all that, I've been promising to do this for months. I have been writing down what I can do YouTube tutorials of. And I've been giving it a lot of thought. And I've been thinking, one thing I'd like to do, and I don't know how I'm going to do this yet because I don't think it will work on YouTube. May have to do it on another, I don't know yet. I need to look into it. But what I'm thinking is, can we do some kind of online sewing group / get together once a week? So if I can set up, whether we do it through Zoom or I don't know if we can do it through YouTube, but I want to be able to set it up so we can all sit in our own homes all around the world. We can all log on at the same time and we can interact with each other. We can make a cup of tea, we can have our stitching or our crafty, whatever we want to do, and we all meet together once a week and we can speak to each other, we can show each other what we're doing. Yeah, what do you think about that? I think it's a great idea. How I'm going to make it happen though, I'm not sure. I haven't worked that out yet. No particular agenda. I mean, we might say one week, someone might say, next week when we gather, can you show us how to do X, Y, Z? That may come up from time to time. It's not going to be planned. It's not something that I'm going to sit down and say, this week we're going to do that, this week we're going to do that. If it comes up, sure, let's go for something like that. But I think, I mean, I used to do this in person. I used to attend, I started when I left high school and then travelled overseas. And when I came back, I was looking for work. I couldn't get work straight away. So I ended up joining the local embroidery group. So this would have been, it was before my daughter was born and she turned 30 last year. Was it last year? This year, sorry, she turns 30. Gee, I'm making her older than she is. That'll impress her. She turns 30 this year. So it has to be 30 years ago, maybe more, that I joined this group. And I attended every single week. I attended through when I fell pregnant with her. She came with me through the pregnancy. When she was born, she came to sewing with me. And all the elder ladies used to fuss over her something silly. And it was like she had a big group of grandmas. I went to that group whenever I wasn't working. And I still go over. It's moved location a couple of times since then, but it's still local. And I still go over from time to time. Most of the ladies have passed now, which is very sad. Some of them I became very, very close to. In fact, one of them passed only a few weeks ago, and it really, really rattled me. She appeared to be very fit and healthy and didn't seem to be very old, and it came as a huge shock. But I attended those sewing groups every week. Actually, I think it was once a fortnight. It's now changed to every week, I think. And on the off week, I used to go to Embroiderers Guild. So I was at sewing every Friday. And of course we had COVID, so that stopped. And I really missed going. I missed that friendship and that connection and that, you know, sewing with other people and learning from each other and sharing information. So I've been thinking I'd really like to try and do that again. But I'd like to be able to make it available to, you know, I've made friends with some of you guys that are in different states or in different countries. And I'd like to be able to, for us all to gather, you know, even if it's only once a month, if you can only come once a month or something. But I think at this point I'd like to try and make it available every week. At this stage, I think for me a Friday is probably good. But let me know. Please let me know in the comments. I mean, if you're watching now live, if you pop it up I'm going to keep an eye on to see what would be good for you if you want to join in. But when I repost this after the live's finished, I lose those comments. So if you're watching afterwards when it's been posted, please let me know if it's something you're interested in, and let me know that for starters. But then let me know what day would be good for you and what time. And I'm going to have to work out some scheduling, because, for example, if you're sitting in Canada or England or New Zealand, we're not going to have the same time, are we? So let me know what time, which day of the week and what time of that day would be good for you to sit down for at least an hour. Now, when I used to do these classes before, we would gather for a minimum of 4 hours. So whether we do the 4 hours again, of course you don't have to stay for the whole 4 hours. But I think we should make that available, hey? That's something I'd like to look into and get kicked off this year. And I want to try and make it available for free. If I can do it without charging you guys, I'm going to do that. And the simple reason is because I've been in positions through various periods of my life when I've desperately wanted to participate, or I've desperately wanted to learn something and I haven't had the money to pay. So if I can keep these things for free, I will. I want everyone to be able to do it, okay? Now, the next thing I'm thinking of, I think I've mentioned before, I want to try and have some structure with this. I don't want to just come on every day and show you what I've accumulated, okay? Or what stitching I'm doing. So I'm also thinking about doing some, because I'm doing a lot of work with the vintage embroidery, the vintage linen, embroidered linens, I've been trying to think how I can share that. Because I know that some of you can't access these vintage linens. They're not available where you live. And I've had a few people talk to me about being a bit bummed that they can't get the stamped linen either, so the linen with the designs on them that haven't yet been embroidered. How can I share that? So what I'm thinking is, if I can try and design some designs that are a similar style, or maybe nothing like vintage style, but at this stage I'm thinking similar. If I can design some and then either make templates so you can print it out and trace it onto your linen, or I'm thinking about looking into transfers, getting transfers done. Now, I believe we can make our own transfers. If I design it, you can print it onto transfer paper, I believe, if you can get hold of the transfer paper. But I'd also like to see if I can do a transfer booklet. Obviously, if I do that, you will have to pay for it, because it's going to cost me money to have those manufactured. But that's another thing I'm thinking. I'd like to share some for free that we can join here. We can stitch along together, or we can do it in the group, or I can just have tutorials on YouTube. So that's another thing I'm thinking. I thought I've made, and I've given them all away, so I don't have one to show you. But a couple of years ago I made these little pouches, and there's quite a few around I've seen circling at the moment on social media. This is what made me think about it. These little triangular pouches out of fabric, and just sort of, they open up, they lay out into like a boat shape really, and you just pull a thread and it folds into itself to make these little triangular pouches. So I was thinking, and it wasn't an original idea, I did see someone had done it. So I'm not trying to steal it, but, and it's not that person's design, it's sort of an idea. So what I'm thinking is, why don't we make some of these pouches, but we do the vintage textile collage onto them, and we stitch onto them. I thought that's another thing we could do. What do you think about that one? I've made them before. I didn't have a pattern, I worked it out for myself. So I now have a pattern that I've made. So as far as I'm aware, because I've designed that myself, I'm not copying. I don't want to copy anyone. I don't want to steal anything. I don't want to, I'm trying to create my own content, okay? I don't want to take anything away from anyone. So that's another thing, the little triangular pouchy thing. We can do some little zippered pouches with either with cantha stitch, layers of fabric, or applique on them, vintage applique. I'm right into the vintage at the moment. A lot of you seem to like that as well, so I thought we'd just run with that theme. Hand stitch all these things as well. You know, a lot of people I know don't have sewing machines, so let's learn how to do it by hand if you haven't done it by hand before. Even setting the zippers in, we can do that by hand. Okay, another thing, a small little, I was thinking a little patchwork, like patchwork as you go, just random, not structured patchwork, not using templates or anything, but using some scrap fabrics, vintage fabrics, offcuts and things. Let's make a little quilt as you go, little pouch, either a drawstring pouch or we'll put a little zipper in it. I've got written that down. We can do something like that. Slow stitching's had another resurgence, I've noticed. I've done a lot of slow stitching in the past. If you go through my Instagram, I've got post after post after post about slow stitching, about when I was learning about it, when I researched it, and when I started doing it myself. Now that's probably back 3, 4, 5 years ago. I've noticed it's big again. So how about we can do a series on slow stitching, what it is, what I think it is, because I've noticed that people are talking about it and they're giving their interpretation of slow stitch, and it's quite different to mine. I should maybe put some things here for you to look at instead of just listening to me babble on and on and on, eh? I don't know what you're going to look at though, it's just boxes of stuff. So yeah, I thought I'd do a series on slow stitch, what it means to me, what I understand it to be, and then we can do some slow stitching projects. Don't know whether to go with this one or not. I saw someone had done some slow stitched bunting and they'd used vintage textiles, and I thought that was a great idea, so I thought we could do a version of that, but then I'm a bit worried I might be copying that idea a bit too much, even though it's just bunting separately. Bunting's bunting, and separately slow stitching is slow stitching, and separately vintage textiles is vintage textiles. But pulling those three elements together, I'm potentially copying off this person, and again, that's not what I want to do. So if you don't see that come up, it's because I've done some more research and I don't want to be taking anything from anyone else, okay? But I've got that down as an idea, potential idea. Another thing I've done, and I don't know if it's in my reels years back, because I didn't finish it, but I started a meditation cloth, and it was a scroll that you roll up. And that was being taught originally by Anne Woods, I believe, in England, many, many years ago. She did a tutorial on that. But I've seen recently that making a resurgence as well, variations of that. So I thought we might do one of those, a slow stitched one. And I thought we might do it instead of, like, Anne used large bobbins, large spinning bobbins from mills, I think, wool mills. They were a little bit larger than the bobbins you get on your spinning wheel at home, and she wrapped hers around that. I've seen people have them made. I don't want to go to that trouble. I want you to use something that you might have easier access to. So I wondered if we could do a little one on a wooden cotton reel instead. Not that everyone's going to have access to the wooden cotton reels, but everyone should have access to a cotton reel of some kind. okay? We can use plastic, we can use whatever. So there's another idea. Another thing I was thinking of was I could show you how I dye my threads. So I've got a collection of cotton and silk threads that I dye or paint to get unique colours or colours that I want to go with the work I'm doing. I do it with wool as well. In fact, I've just ordered some wool silk blend in 4-ply so I can dye some threads for the stitching, like the fleur wood style stitching. I used to do that years ago too. If you go all the way back through my Instagram again, you'll see 10, 12, 13 years ago I used to do that all the time. And I stopped doing it because people stopped buying it. But there's been a resurgence, so I'm thinking of doing that again and doing bundles of the threads, okay? But I can show you how to do your own if that's something you're interested in. We could do a series on slow stitching for journaling or memory keeping. I've come up with an idea we can do with that. I haven't exactly nutted out how to pull the whole thing together, but I've got quite a few ideas for that. We could potentially do some swaps, so we could pick a theme. I saw one this morning, the lady did hexagons. They were only about this big, and she turned it into a pin cushion, but she decorated the front, some decorated the back. One had tiny little hexagons on it, one had embroidered images on it, and you can decorate the edge. So we can do little things like that, all agree to do something and swap them. We can do swaps, global swaps or local swaps. And I'm happy to try and organise the swapping. I say try because I got myself in a flap over the bloody postage this morning because the parcels, Australia Post is lost. I know it got to the post office. I know that for a fact because I keep meticulous records in my booklets. But anyway, we could do some swaps this year. We can do an embroidery stitches booklet. Now I've seen a lot of those around too. I have done them previously years ago. Mine's downstairs somewhere, packed away. That's one of the things I learned at the embroidery guild or the group that I was in 30 years ago. Sorry, you guys just dropped out for a second then. So what I was thinking, when I did it, we did pages, sheets of fabric, and we did all the different embroidery stitches, and we just put them in folders. But what I'm thinking is we can actually make a textile book of these embroidery stitches so we can learn the different stitches and the different techniques. That's another thing we can do. We can do a series on visible mending, so mending your clothes if they're worn or got holes. But those techniques that you learn can then be applied to your collages, your textile collages, or your needle books, or your whatever it is that you're doing. You know, we can learn these techniques. We can also learn to embellish our clothing. I don't do a huge amount, and I don't do traditional embellishing either. I don't do, you know, little grub roses going down the front of your blouse or on your sleeves. I don't do that sort of thing. I do, you know, like abstract, layered patching more sort of than anything. But we can do a series on that. We can make a little fabric bag slash pouchy thing. I've got a couple of ideas of how to do this. That you sit on your desk and you can put all your little threads in it and your offcuts. And if I work out a design the way I'm thinking, we can do it so we can have our scissors sitting in it and our pen and a couple of other little things. But I'm not sure how to exactly design it yet, but that's something we can do. Make a little textile pouch bowl thingy. I've had a lot of requests for the pinch pots. Now I'm very hesitant to do those. Even if you scroll back through my Instagram 2 or 3 years ago, I've already made some. I showed the other day, this is one that I've done years ago that the poor thing, the birds needed something to help hold their nest in the tree, and they ended up with my one of my pinch pots. Okay, so I have made them. It's not a new idea, but I'm a bit hesitant to teach it because A, I learnt from another artist, and B, there's a quilter that's doing them at the moment, and I don't want to take away from her. So I have written that on my list. I'm trying to work out if I can change them enough so it doesn't look like I'm copying, even though, as I said, I've done them years ago. We can do a little bit of pulled and drawn thread work. I don't want to go into a lot of detail because there's so many different things we can do with it. There's so many options. We can do some amazingly incredible, beautiful, detailed work. I don't think you guys want to learn that. Most of you aren't interested in fine needlework. However, I thought I might at least show you how to do some pulled and drawn thread work, to do like an Italian hem stitch that you can use in your needle books. We just do small bits, a bit of linen, and it can be used in the needle books. If we just do a small bit, it's easy enough that you can learn that. It's the simple couple of techniques, and you can add that to your list of techniques learned, and I've got that on my list of things that I can show you. I can show you how to make those finger pin cushions. I've been making them for years. You know, the ones that it's just a little pin cushion that sits on your finger like a ring. I've been making those for years. I've got one here somewhere that I use. You would have seen it in some of my other videos. I've been making them for years and years. Before I worked at the quilt shop, I was making them. Well, I can show you how to do those. That's another thing we can do. A little tutorial on how to make the little pin cushions that you slide on your finger. One thing I want to try and do, there's some images of getting around. They're AI images, so they're artificial intelligence, but they're quilted coffee cups. Nairi did find a pattern for a quilted cup online, or a fabric cup. I'd like to try and work out my own pattern and my own design so we can make one, like a textile collage one, a vintage textile one. That's something else on my list, a vintage textile collage patchwork coffee cup. And of course we wouldn't use it as a coffee cup, we'd use it on our desk to put our sewing supplies and things in. I've written down here insertion stitches, like Italian insertion, which is where you join two pieces of fabrics together with a fancy stitch down the middle. It may be a bit too detailed, and apart from using it as a decorative thing in needle books, for example, I don't know what else we'll use it for. I've written it down, don't know if we'll go there. I'd like to do a video on making zoken cloths, or zoiken cloths. They're a Japanese cleaning cloth made from old fabrics, so we're upcycling them instead of throwing them out. They're all done by hand, so I'd like to do a video on that. I thought we could do one on making necklaces or jewelry from fabric. So I've made, again, go through my Instagram and you should see them. I've made some bangles out of textiles, fabric and beads. So we can do some bracelets, we can do some, I thought we could do some wrist cuffy things out of vintage textiles and laces. So not quite a bracelet, but not quite a wrist cuff. I thought we'd make something like that. We can embroider them, we can write words on them. I've done that before, I've stitched words into them, and there should be some of them in my Instagram as well. Or some necklaces out of vintage textiles. I thought we might do some of that as well. Another thing we can do, and I've made these before too, they're just a variation on those you would have seen, and I listed some on my other Instagram page, my D-Stash page, of the crocheted textile vessels, the bowls and vessels and things. We can increase the size of those and make bags, handbags, or yeah, bags, carry bags out of these out of strips of fabric that we crochet together. So we can do a video on that. We can do a, oh sorry guys, I hurt my knee yesterday in hydrotherapy, and I don't know what I did. It didn't hurt at the time, but I can hardly move it since it's so sore and it's blown up like a balloon. Another video I thought we could do this year is learn a rice bag, which is a traditional Japanese, it's a variation. I'm not going to do the traditional Japanese, but a variation on a traditional Japanese rice bag. I've got one here I've shown you before. I've made quite a few of them in the past. But again, I thought we could do them with the vintage textiles, either vintage textile panels or collages, you know, stitch the layers on, something like that. We can do, instead of the, you know how I was talking about the bunting earlier, the vintage bunting, vintage textile bunting, I was brainstorming that because I didn't want to copy that. Instead of doing bunting, we can do, you know those, I think they were Indian, they came out of India, remember the banners? I always wanted one to hang in my lounge room and I couldn't afford them. So I'll try and draw what I'm thinking, and we don't have to do huge ones obviously. So basically they were sort of, and I'm not going to get this exactly correct because I'm not looking at one. So it was sort of this sort of shape. These flaps weren't as long. They were more sort of up to here really. But instead of bunting, we can do banners, you know, and possibly have tassels or fabric beads or something. And I could show you how to make all this. And so these were designed to go in doorways or over windows, or, you know, in breezeways or whatever. Well, that's where I've seen them hanging anyway, and I haven't been to India, so I might be wrong. But instead of doing bunting, we can do these banners out of the vintage textiles and, you know, do layers of textiles and embroider them, and that's something I thought we could do this year instead of the bunting. The other thing is I thought I could draw some images that we could embroider and turn them into pin cushions, or frame them, or, you know, one thing I was thinking of maybe was, and again I don't know, this is just sort of thinking out loud, and it wouldn't look like this, I'd do much more detail. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of. So potentially I could draw, and again it wouldn't be wonky, and it'd be different, and we'd do different colours, do an embroidery of a rainbow maybe, and have something underneath it, like, I don't know. So this is just an example, guys, just thinking out loud. I could design a rainbow, for example, not saying I'm going to, I'm big on rainbows at the moment. Maybe write a verse underneath it, I don't know. We can embroider it, learn different stitches, do it in different colours, and then we can, you know, use it, make it into a little patch that you can sew on something, or we can frame it, or we can turn it into a pin cushion or whatever. But I was thinking of coming up with some designs that we can learn embroidery or stitching on. Another series we could do is textile or fabric beads. We can do Ort beads. I think I've written that down. So if you don't know what an Ort is, this isn't it. It's a jar full of all of your threads that are either too short or you don't use. So when you're embroidering, and if you get a piece of thread that's too long and it fatigues and you can't keep using it, you throw it. A lot of people just throw it away. I usually keep mine in an Ort jar now. My grandma used to have one. A lot of people's grandmas did. This is fabric, not thread. But I do have an Ort jar with all my threads in it. And you can use that. There's some thread in here actually. But this isn't embroidery thread. See, you just end up with a jar full of thread. And you use your threads from your Ort to make beads. So that's something else we can do. Make some Ort beads. Some fabric beads, some fabric tassels and bells and decorations like what the very clever Indians do on their beautiful clothing that they wear. Possibly some woven beads or buttons or both. I did show, it wasn't very good, but I did show a few videos back a needle woven bead that I made out of fabric and thread. And I haven't brought that back. A button actually it was. A bead shaped button. I haven't brought that back out yet to show you how we can use it. I was going to use it in the needle book I finished this week and I forgot. We can do a video simply on Suffolk puffs or yo-yos and folded hexagons that you can put in your work or on your collages. Some people haven't seen how they're done, so we can do that. We can do some quilt as you go hexagons. They're all the ideas I've written down. I'm not saying we're going to do all of them this year, but if there's anything that I've mentioned that you would like to do, please let me know and I'll make sure we do it. If there's anything that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to do, as long as it's something that I'm able to show you, that isn't copyright, that isn't someone else's design, I'm more than happy to show you, okay? So that's nearly it, guys, for today. I was going to sit here and do some sewing with you, but we've gone over our 2 hours again. Not that there's a time limit, but it would get ridiculously boring if it hasn't already. And it probably has, because there's people coming and going left, right and centre as I'm speaking today. And I'm pretty sure I've shown this, but because I've just started sharing it on Instagram and it's going to be listed in my store in the next few days, I thought I'd show this again. So, and I wasn't convinced it was finished, but I'm getting some really great feedback, so she might be done, to be honest. So this is the latest needle book. It's made from a 1970s brushed cotton. There's all little threads stuck on her. 1970s brushed cotton, which I thought was pretty cool. I can't stand the colours, and I think this is one of the reasons why I wasn't sure it was finished, if that makes sense. I just don't love it just because of the colours. They're not my colours. You can see I've attached this beautiful vintage cotton lace for the tie, and I've stitched some vintage cotton fabric on the ends to make sure that doesn't fray. I've attached or appliqued this piece of, someone's already cut this wheatear lace out of a piece of lace. I know it's been cut out because I've got other pieces that they've cut out and they're all different. I've done the running stitch all over it. I've attached this binding. Now I call it binding. It's not cut on the bias, so technically it's not binding. I didn't have enough fabric, so it's cut square. And I chose this because the green dot sort of matches the green on the leaf. It was the best match I could find at the time. Oops, I've got a bit of a dilemma here. So we open her up. The inside cover is there's wool Dr. flannel on the back here, and that goes all the way through. I've got part of a doily on the front. Now I believe this to be, just double checking. I thought that was machine stitched, but that has been hand stitched, this embroidery. I think it's on cotton, pretty sure it's cotton. Lovely quality though. And these are all vintage, so that everything has stains, marks, blemishes, little tiny holes. It's all rescued textiles, okay? This is from the 90s, this print in the back here. It's a little check, cotton check. And I attached that there because when you open it up, you've got this flash of green through here, and to my eye it was unbalanced. So I wanted to balance it by putting a bit of green over here as well, so your eye wasn't just instantly drawn to that green over here. And then the same goes with this, because there's just the orange here. I wanted to balance that out a bit. So we've got a bit of orange and yellow thread that peaks up here. And then we've got these yellow flowers and pink. And when you first look at it with the eye, that sort of looks a bit orangey. So there's sort of a little triangle of orange. You've got this bit peeking out here too. So the eye's not instantly just drawn to that big wad of orange. It sort of balances it out when you first open it up. Again, this is a vintage 50s little cotton print. Very pretty little one there. Stitch that down. We've got a braided cotton here. This is a vintage crochet cotton. It is attached. I've attached it to the inside of the pocket here, but it's got on the other end there's a needle threader so you don't lose it, because it's only a thin little thing, easy to lose. So I've attached that there so you don't lose it. Okay, oops, it just stuck to my finger then. Get back in there, guy. Okay, the next page is this piece of, this is part of an old tablecloth that had started to fall apart. It was very well loved. It's a very, very fine cotton, and I didn't just want the plain white, it was a little bit stained as well. So I hand dyed it, and if you notice it's not a consistent color. I didn't want it to be just orange or just yellow or just red, so I've used quite a few colors in here, all the same tone. So orange, red, a little bit of pink, some yellow, and I'm quite pleased with that. But because I had a raw edge down here, I have stitched it, done some blanket stitch there to hold it all together. We've got some crochet in the middle there that sits on the spine. A bit more of that stitching up here, so that doesn't unfray. That's all that's doing, making sure it doesn't fray as it's been used. Then we come over to this linen. This is an old piece of old linen. I think it was a tablecloth. This was given to me in pieces. I was just given pieces. Beautiful textile. Someone had embroidered it, so I included that. But it looked too stark to me. It was just this row of flowers here, this brown line on this white with this beautiful yellow crochet edge. So I've added a piece of wool felt that I've blanket stitched around. Now this I used, I'm pretty sure that one was a vintage crochet cotton. You can wait your patience please, Buffet. I'll be finished shortly. The needles are included and this fancy pin are included. And then I added this little tiny little fussy cut hexagon of a strawberry that I thought was really cute. But I've done a running stitch around that, and I'm not sure if I should have now. I'm not convinced I like it. And then down here where this crocheted edge was, I've done a tiny little stitch in the green, so we spread that green out a bit more. It's, you know, little green details across the whole page, so it's not all concentrated once again. I shouldn't have folded that over because I can't find it now. We turn the oh, and another little detail, if you can see that we've got this fluffy little edge peeking out behind here. That's the doctor's flannel on the other side. Now I was going to turn it under and do a hem, but I thought that made a cute little detail, so I left it there, made it a bit of a feature out of it. We turn over and we've got, oh, don't tell me, we've got doctor's flannel, okay, and I've done a blanket stitch all the way around that in the green, and I've done that in green because I've added this pocket from an old napkin, cross stitch on it, very pretty little design. And so I've carried that green, you can see those greens are all in here, I've carried that over with the blanket stitch so we can spread that colour out again instead of having it all concentrated in one spot. I'm a little bit distracted because I had a pair of embroidery scissors in there, brand new pair, and I was showing someone yesterday and those embroidery scissors have disappeared, and I think I've just found the glasses that I've been looking for 2 days that I thought I must have left at the hospital, and the amount of times I've looked in that bag and couldn't find them, and now I just open it to look for those scissors and they're sitting right there looking at me. So now I'm just looking for the scissors, those embroidery scissors that I hopefully haven't lost. Oh goodness gracious. I think I'd lose my head at the moment if it wasn't screwed on, honestly. Talk about bullfed. Ha! I found them. Woohoo! Woot woot! I don't know how to do that. Woot woot! I'll just say woohoo. Okay. So this little pocket, and then as you can see we've still got that yellow peeking out the bottom there from that crochet edge on the other side. So I've carried that over with the little needle woven tab I've made at the top, which loops around the vintage mother of pearl button. Now that's there because I put these little embroidery scissors in here, and if we put that loop over that button, it's a bit fiddly, the scissors don't fall out. Next page is a cotton handkerchief, a vintage hanky. You can see a little bit of embroidery up here that was already there. Now I have crocheted this edge with a vintage crochet cotton. It's come out a little bit heavier than I thought it would in my head. I probably should have used a finer cotton, but it's still okay. And I then fussy cut all these hexagons out of petite pan that I got from So Be from Beck, and this center is a piece of vintage cotton from the 70s. It's got big bold black flowers on it. It's pretty cool. Next page, the other side of that vintage hanky, and I've turned that into a nice deep pocket. We've got that lovely crocheted edge as a feature. Next page is a piece of wool felt, and it just looked a bit stark to me, so I've added this vintage broderie on glaze. Now this came off a pillowcase from the 20s, this lace edge, and then on that raw edge on the top, I didn't have enough to fold it under like I did down here. I've sewn on a bit of vintage cotton. Okay, cotton fabric. We open her up to a nice doily. I'm sorry, I'm just noticed that's yellowing. That wasn't yellow a few days ago. So this is what I was saying. I soak these textiles. They come up beautifully bright white clean. I press them and iron them and starch them. And then a week to 3, 4, 5 weeks later, they start to yellow again. I don't understand. Am I doing something wrong? We turn that wool felt over and we've got, this is a piece of a doily that I was given. That's all I had. You can see there's a couple of little cross stitches down here where I'd say there was a cross stitch flower. And then it's got this beautiful tape, woven cotton tape edge that I thought made a nice feature. So I turned that into a pocket, stitched that on, and I used a fine cotton because I wanted to blanket stitch that onto that wool, but I didn't want it visible on this side. So you can see a couple of tiny spots peeking through, but I tried to do that so you wouldn't see it on the other side. Then we go to the other side of that hanky and we've got another pocket with that crocheted edge, another nice pocket here. Turn it over, and that was a bit stark for me, so I had this little bit of, this was rescued from a linen doily. Now this is one of the doilies that I soaked, and where some of the staining was heavy, the fabric disintegrated when I soaked it. So I've just rescued bits of it, and that was a bit. And I've stitched that on, so we've got another pocket. Now this bit, the way I folded the hanky, I didn't do the double fold on that one, that's okay. It was a bit too big for the book, so I've got this extra bit. And instead of just cutting that off like I have in the past, I decided to keep it, and I've stitched these beautiful vintage Suffolk puffs, and they came from Beck's shop as well. I love the colour of that one. So I've stitched that on there to make a page. We turn it over, and I had another piece of a doily that was salvaged that I've stitched onto the back of that tab, just to give it a bit of character. Now I haven't tried this, but I was thinking, in theory, we should be able to store something in here like a pen. No, I've stitched all the way through. What a bummer. I thought I might have been able to. Oh, it'll go in if it's small. You might get a crochet hook or something in there. So I'll have to be aware next time not to stitch all the way through, so we can use that tab as a storage pocket. Next page, doctor's flannel. I did blanket stitch all the way around there. I've added a little folded hexagon I did out of some of that vintage 50s cotton. But then I found this trim from the 90s, and I decided to add that. But you can see some of that blanket stitch peeking through still, which is a bummer. It didn't matter how I located it up there, I couldn't hide it. You can see it peeking out over here as well, so that's okay. It just sort of helps balance out that colour a bit more. I forgot to mention I sewed a little bit of vintage lace into the centre of that hexagon. We turn it over and we've got the other side of that linen, a bit more of that embroidery there, and then again I've done that green stitch along the bottom as well. Next page, and pretty much final page, is the other side of that hand-dyed tablecloth. Now I added this here, the fabric, because this was a raw edge and I didn't want this crochet to unravel. So that's holding that together. This, I've been tossing up whether to put something in there. I don't know. I don't think I need to, but my name is on the other side, my business name. Then I found this piece of lace, and so I folded it over and stitched it on, but then I realized it had a little hole in the center. Can you see that hole? So I decided to add another needle woven bar loop so we could attach a little zipper pull or something there that you can use for something else if you wish later. So that comes with it as well. And then here you see Gladys and Maud, because that's me and I made it. And that is, you can see it looks rusty. That's a piece of vintage Actal cotton sheeting that I rescued, and I loved the marks on it so much I decided to use it to make my labels, and I'm nearly out of labels. I typed them with my vintage typewriter and stitched that on the inside. Then we've got the back pocket, which is pretty much the same as the front. You can hear Madam wants to come out now. She's woken up and she wants to come and socialise because she thinks I'm actually talking to someone that's here. And we've been pushing on the door, and since that hasn't been successful, she's now licking the screen door. And that's the needle book. So I do apologise if I've shown it here before, but like I said, because I've started sharing it on Instagram, I thought I'd record it here a bit so it can be seen a bit more clearly. And as I mentioned about half an hour ago, I was going to sit here and do some stitching with you guys today, but I've taken so long to show you everything. We've been here for nearly 2.5 hours. It's starting to get dark. The mosquitoes are coming out, and it's 6:15 at night here, and I'm sitting outside. So I think I might say good night, guys. I'm going to go and do a bit more planning on that list I've made. Please, if there's anything I've mentioned on that list that you'd like me to do, please let me know and I'll make it a priority. Let me know what you think about the sewing group that I want to try and form, that I still haven't worked out how to do. Would you like to be a part of that? And let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to show you that I haven't mentioned that wouldn't be copyright and wouldn't be stealing or copying from someone else. Let me know and I'll see what I can do, okay? Thank you so much for joining me again. I love having you guys here. I always feel like I prattle on and on and on with a load of crap, but I get so many lovely messages saying I love joining you for your videos, I love listening, I love watching what you do. I feel like I'm not doing anything except sharing all the crap I keep buying. But yeah, I'm trying to get more structured. As I said, I've created that list at least. I'll start doing some tutorials, some, you know, what are they called? I've lost the word. Series, I suppose. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Don't forget, I've got stuff for sale over at Gladys and Maud Unearthed on Instagram. And most of the stuff that's listed, a large percentage of that, I just take out some to cover the cost of fuel, the cost of to soak it. I'm not charging for my time because that would be redundant under the circumstances. If I was more financial, I wouldn't charge at all, but I'm really struggling to make ends meet, so it just helps cover my costs. The rest of it's going to the aged care facility. I want to really help them get what they need. So take a look over there. I will be uploading more items, hopefully tomorrow, maybe not. I'm still gathering. I've only got 4 items out. I'm still going through my cupboards, my linen presses, my boxes. I still haven't been over to my storage unit yet, so I'm still uploading things. I was hoping to upload items every day. That's just not possible for me. I'm exhausted. I've been working around the clock. I've been doing 12-hour days. I'm pushing myself too hard. And when I say working, I'm just doing this from home. You know, I'm looking after my dog. I'm looking after myself. I'm not well, so I've got to manage my health. if I push myself too hard, I crash and I'll end up back in hospital. My body starts to shut down. So I do take my time. Sometimes I'm sorry, I apologize. It's not from lack of effort, it's out of necessity because my body just doesn't cope. There will be more stuff uploaded. Don't forget the stuff there. If there's nothing you want, please share it around. Let people know. You know, I know not everyone's in the market for textiles at the moment, vintage textiles, but I'd really like to at least try and sell the stuff for the aged care facility. That would be really good. Help them out. Get that stuff moving. Get it out of my house where it is at the moment. It's very cluttered in my lounge and dining at the moment. I'm going to start formulating and collating that list of stuff that I want to start showing you. Don't forget to let me know what you'd like to do. Have a think about if you'd like to join me regularly for a sewing circle or sewing group. Again, haven't worked out how that's going to happen yet. What have I forgotten, guys? Just thank you, really. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me go on and on and on and on and on. Thank you for your encouragement and your support. Thank you to those of you who've already bought stuff. I can't thank you enough. I've given up at the moment on, as you know, I need a new phone stand. This one's on loan. It's not very practical. Mine completely fell apart. I need a new phone. My phone is so old and so broken, keeps shutting down. It's overheating. It's currently in 3 pieces. It's been held together with just a phone case that I have to keep taking off to record. I've given up on replacing those at the moment because I'm trying to help the nursing home for one, and secondly, every little bit of money I'm getting is going towards just regular everyday bills and food. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's what's going on. Can't thank you all enough. So much for your support in every way. As I've mentioned previously, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so because that allows me to do more of these lives. As I've explained recently, I'm currently limited to how many lives I can do because I don't have enough followers. I only need 500, I believe. I have to do lives because my phone won't cope with pre-recording and uploading. It just keeps overheating and shutting down. For some reason it lets me do lives, but I can't pre-record and upload. I think I'll end up there, guys, because I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to pack up all this stuff I've dragged out here today, and I'm going to go and cook some dinner. And I'll see you again soon. Maybe tomorrow, with any luck. Maybe not until another day or two. But yeah, I'm going to go. Thank you again. Be safe. Be kind. And I'll see you next time.